ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Gears Esports Pro League. I am Colin the Crow Clark, and tonight I'm being joined by one of the greatest of all time to ever do or to sit behind a mic. It is the one, the only, Jacob MVPR.
Man, nobody can gas anybody up like you do, Colin. I'm glad to be here, man. You said this is Gears Esports. Watching the stream yesterday and watch this flying right now. I feel like this is ESPN, the Gears segment kind of going down. Happy to be here. New season. This is kind of my debut. And some of these matches, if you guys didn't see that schedule, that you're going to see in a few moments. Woo! Spicy today.
Indeed, it's going to be a hot one, but let's review how this Pro League format is going to work out. For anybody that might be new to the stream or this season of Gears Esports, 10 teams qualified, 4 from the previous Pro League, 4 from the Challenger Point qualifier tournaments, week in and week out, and then finally 2 from that LCQ. Each team is only going to play each other one time. Best of 5 series, control, execution, escalation, followed by control and an execution game 5 if necessary. Top 8 teams will qualify for the Split 2 Pro League if they were to handle their business and keep their teams intact. Bottom 2 teams, though, they're going to have to play in the Split 1 relegation tournament. And I think at taking away 2 teams, getting it down to the nitty-gritty in 2 teams, Jacob, I really believe that this is just going to up the ante and up the competition.
Yeah, obviously you kind of saw last bit with 12 teams. There was always kind of people hunkering towards the bottom. They weren't necessarily doing the best. You take out those 2 less positions. Yes, you're going to still have 2 teams towards the bottom, but it's going to make every single person try that much harder to get those wins underneath their opponent to escape that relegation, because it's very, very important. But what that also does, Colin, it boosts up the challenger scene. Now you're going to have a lot of teams because there's spots to fight for, but there's less, which means those challenger rosters are going to have a few more players that bring experience to the table, that just bring a different look than what they might be used to.
Without a doubt. And for those of you that weren't here with us yesterday, let's take a look at yesterday's results. And Jacob, we had 15 maps on the main broadcast, the 3-2 for Elevate, the 3-2 for Rise, and finishing it off with that 3-2 for Noble. Over there on the side station, Rebel handled business in 4, and E United, they made quick work of Fire and Ice with a hot 3-0 from them, keeping that streak alive where, I mean, they just about won or lost everything last season by 3-0 in that last split. So do any of those scores really stand out to you as the big shocker?
I mean, I think the biggest one does come at the top of the screen, the Pittsburgh Knights versus Elevate. They didn't have to fight for the qualification spot. They did make a roster change. And even though it might have taken some people by storm, I kind of understand why it happened. You bring in chaos. You're thinking it's just slaying power that does add an addition to the roster, but it's a whole IGL roster change. When you bring in an IGL and you're changing the way you do things, there are bound to be mistakes. And I'm honestly glad for it to happen earlier on in the season than when you're making that stretch towards the very end. Towards the bottom, though, Pioneers versus Noble, that was another one that might have been too close to call. I had the Pioneers taking that one, but honestly, I'm happy to see it go 3-2 to go the entire distance, because I was entertained the entire night.
Of course, we've got standings after the first day because we had to have winners and we had to have losers. And right up there with 100% map win percentage, E United stands atop. And then, of course, you got Rebel there with a 75, but then look at that. 3 teams tied at 3rd place, followed by 3 teams at 6th place. And as the weeks go on, we are certainly going to see a bit of a mix-up with those teams right there in the middle. I mean, with only one game under everybody's belt, it's way too close and way too early to call for anybody to start making some long-term predictions for that. But hey, if you're here in the stream, we know you are very curious about what you're going to be earning, what you're going to watch and win, and we have got something absolutely delicious for you to take part in, and that's earning your delicious weapon skins. And I saw these things last night, Jacob. I'm not going to lie to you. I woke up at the butt crack of dawn, went on out to Dunkin' Donuts, and got myself 10 of those strawberry frosted things with the little sprinkles on top. I said, this fat boy's going to be eating good riding the tractor first thing in the morning.
I can just imagine now my next teammate in rank just wondering, why aren't you crossing? Why aren't you crossing? I just see him trying to take a bite out of his Lancer, just trying to enjoy it just like the rest of us. Man, those do actually look pretty delicious.
Sorry.
I'm gonna have to get me some donuts after this. Maybe tomorrow morning, try to figure something out. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Look, man, they almost reminiscent of that the Homer Simpson donut. You know what I'm saying, baby? Them things just look too good.
Man. At a time, get a box of 12, and that still ain't enough.
And if you thought I took part in those, if you thought I scarfed those down, just wait until you see the matchups we've got today on the main broadcast for you, because these are going to be some hellacious fights across 6 different teams. Oxygen versus Hive to kick things off. Pittsburgh Knights versus Rebel, and Rise versus E United to finish the night. And Jacob, the meat of that sandwich right there, that Knights versus Rebel game is looking fantastic to be a part of.
No, it definitely is. The entire tonight's schedule, like I said, it's looking extremely fantastic, but that's what you got that's what you alluded to. When you go from 12 teams to 10, every single matchup is pay-per-view style matchup. Instead of we're watching ESPN, we're watching ESPN Gears.
Without a doubt. And on the side station, we got a couple of great matchups as well. The Pioneers are going to take on Elevate, and then Noble will take their chance against Fire and Ice. A little LatAm mix up there at 7 o'clock on the side station. So top to bottom, main station, side station, you've got 5 great matches of Gears Esports tonight, and it's going to shake up some of the settings a little bit, because think about this, that first matchup on side station, Pioneers 0-1 versus Elevate 1-1. You could come out with a whole bunch of teams tonight, 1-1, and we just gonna have a whole gang of ties coming out there. It's gonna be a grand showcase for all of the talent all night long, and I really think that we are gonna be treated to some great matchups tonight. But let's just move right on into our first matchup. I think we need to just get this thing kicked off. Oxygen versus Hive. Oxygen takes Rise to map 5, but Rise takes care of business. Hive, meanwhile, they only go 4 maps against Rebel, but the score lines were pretty close. They won map 2, 6-5. They lost the Escalation 5-4. They got trounced in the second control, but the first one was about a 35-point differential. So Hive really putting up a great fight against a team that was fantastic in Rebel, but they fall short. Let's take a look, though, at Oxygen's lineup for tonight. Who's going to be rolling out a spawn for them? Scavzy, Rocky, Abolics, and Bronny. And last night, Jacob, I said this team is built around offense. Do you see it any different?
No, it's honestly hard to see it any other different. I think they lack a little bit of that IGL that has that strategy, but that's not honestly a bad thing. I don't want to make it seem like a bad thing, because that's the way the meta is right now. If they can find themselves and continue to lean in that strength that you kind of alluded to, the aggression, I do think they can kind of make some noise, make some waves. But yesterday, throughout the qualification process, you can see that there's something missing from this squad. We don't know what is, but I think throughout this regular season, we're definitely going to figure it out.
Well, something we already know and don't have to figure out is the Hive lineup for this evening's matchup. It's going to be consistent of Lava, Yachty, Cellz, and Thing 2 has joined this squad, and they really have a good mix mash of players and play styles. They could really catch some people off guard. I know a lot of people might have looked past them as they came out of those relegation challenger tournaments as the outcasts. But Jacob, I mean, right there in the middle, that gruesome twosome has really started to set themselves apart as 2 of the best duos in the planet.
Yeah, they kind of started to have that resurgence towards the end of the last season, kind of hitting that 1-2 punch combo. And I like this addition of Thing 2, going from being that challenger player. He was their coach. Now he's stepping in to be that starter player. Sometimes it just works out. That player that is kind of leaning into you, that player that is actually trying to figure out your weaknesses. Now he's there onto the battlefield, be able to be that flex to kind of fill in for those weaknesses, because he already knows Cellz and Lava being that 1-2 punch combo. And Scavzy, he does come with his own experience. He does come with a lot of things to offer, especially in the offensive end. A lot of that shotgun that allows Lava to step into the leadership role, step into fill the things that they don't have on their roster, which is Lancer, which is power weapon control, him and Cellz again, which is being the rotational leader, which with that championship experience that he brings to the roster, I think it is going to shine here. It is going to take some time, though, I think, to heat up. That's why I think this is a good matchup between Oxygen and Hive. Both of these teams have a lot to prove, a lot to work through, and I think it's a good first matchup.
Well, talking about matchups, our key player matchup are 2 guys that mean just about everything to their team. It's going to be Rocky and Lava for our key player matchup, And you see right there, Lava with the advantage there in the damage per respawn and the damage per execution, but Rocky favoring his life a little bit more, maybe even adding a couple of extra assists, getting a higher KDA through Pro League Split 1. I think this is something that will be very interesting because Rocky, he's got a great clutch factor and a great clutch gene going up against somebody in Lava who has been that historically clutch player for whatever squad he's had to be on. For some reason, he's bounced around from team to team, but he keeps seeming to find himself in the conversation of one of the best players on the Pro League scene.
Yeah, and I think one thing that doesn't really necessarily show up in this head-to-head matchup that I think is a huge strength is the experience that Lava does bring to the table. Now that we extended into the 3 different game modes, you kind of think back when Lava really had his shine on towards the scene where he really started making noise into those game battles matches. It was King of the Hill, it was Execution in Gears of War 3. Very, very similar to Control and Execution now. So he's able to kind of bring that leadership, let people know not only where to rotate, but why. And why is the biggest reasoning that helps a lot of these players learn. So when Slava is able to kind of help these troops get up to tip-top shape, I do think that's where some of those strengths will come into those game modes.
Well, let's find out exactly where Oxygen and Hive are going to be playing this warfare at. They're going to go Regency, check out Training Grounds, Ritual, and Tomb. And already, I love the fact that we're getting to see another pick of Ritual in this matchup. I love that the new maps are starting to crop up a little bit more. And also, we have seen 3 different Escalation maps last night. So we're starting off tonight with Training Grounds. Hopefully, we'll get to see the other 2 as well.
Yeah, and I like these early picks out of Ritual. That's where you're able to catch some teams off guard. Because I was saying, towards last season, you didn't see a lot of Spire early on. You saw it towards the tail end where teams are able to get reps out underneath their belt and be able to figure out how they wanted to play. If you're able to catch a hang and be the tip of the spear onto some of these maps, you can really take some big wins early on, especially in these evenly matched series. But overall, honestly, Colin, I think this series kind of leans in towards the aggression, towards who's able to be that tip of the spear overall, whether it's an individual or cohesive team effort.
Well, I think one of the things that's very interesting as well is the fact that we see Hive picking Training Grounds and Regency, which are good cross maps, good rotation maps. You go into Tomb, though, and it almost is reminiscent of kind of a 1v1 battle from top to bottom. It's going to be very much dependent upon how players take those 1v1s and play possibly for their life, or who's able to get that first shot off across the middle of the map. We saw a fantastic Tomb between the Pioneers and Noble last night. Hopefully, we'll get to see a map 5 between these 2 teams and get to see just as good of a Tomb, if not better. But Jacob, I'm going to start off hot and I'm going to put you on the spot. We've got 2 teams that we saw last night struggle a bit, both coming out 0-1 to start their Pro League campaign. Who are you going to predict wins this matchup between Oxygen and Hive?
This is one of those matchups, like I've been saying, kind of hinting at, that's kind of hard to tell. Both of these teams are beginning to fill each other out. Both of these teams are beginning to kind of fill themselves out as well, figure out where they want to put the troops. Oxygen leaning very, very heavy into aggression. Hive is very, very similar, but I think with Lava's leadership down the line, they will have that strategy that they're able to kind of give different looks. They're not leaning in towards aggression, but I said down the line, and I said it for a reason, because I think right now, both of these teams are evenly matched. I think Oxygen leads just a little bit more into that aggression. So for overall my pick, I think this is going to be close, but I got to go in favor of Oxygen.
Well, something that a lot of people might not remember from those Challenger tournaments, in the first couple of weeks before Outcasts got their Pro League bid, they actually beat Oxygen, forcing Oxygen to make a secondary team change. They made one team change. They came into week 1. They got beat out. They made a secondary team change, which reset their points, which made them even have to go to the LCQ at the end of all things. And all that leads me to believe in both of my guys. All right, look, at the end of the day, Lava's a VA boy like myself. And Cellz, I mean, he's just my brother from another mother. If you ever see him and I chop it up in my chat or his chat, you know I love him to death. I'm going to pick Hive to get a win here. I'm going to see them go 1-1. I'm going to hopefully see them go 1-1. I know I might be going against you in the chat, and that's all right with me. Look, I got a lot of faith in these guys, and I even actually ran into Yachty in a free-for-all match at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Not like he was
with that one.
It's not like he was there at 4:30 getting ready to warm up for Oxygen. No, he was on and getting the hands hot at 2 o'clock. That tells me that his mindset on Pro League days, on big matches, is in the right place. We have seen the struggles out of Oxygen. We've seen some struggles out of Hive. One of these teams is going to have to take the bull by the horns and not get bucked off. But let's take a look at possibly who is going to be leading those prediction standings from the chat. I think right now it's actually, I think it's Hive leading it right now. And there it is.
Like
oh, my goodness.
Woo, woo.
All right, Jacob.
So a little bit of the underdog story creeping out. I like
you
this,
and the rest of the cast.
I like this
Oxygen,
because
so now I'm more nervous.
Well, either way, yesterday was such a little scramble in my mind watching those matches because I had to go off what I saw on paper, from what I kind of know off of experience. First round matchups, PK last split, they did have a good showing, even though overall they weren't the best showing throughout the regular season. I was surprised. 1 and 2, you got to give credit where credit is due. Elevate showed up, and they showed up big when it mattered. Noble taking out the Pioneers. Big upsets in my mind, even though on paper it might not be a big upset. Colin, this could be a chance for you to take lead in the rankings.
I don't know. It might not matter much at the end of the season whether or not I get to take 1 game lead in the rankings amongst us little casters.
Yeah, I won by 1.
Hey, look. At the end of the day, I'm happy right there in the middle of the sandwich. Look, I don't want anybody to think I'm too smart. I like being the dumb fat guy. At the end of the day, it's an easy role for me to fill. I got the chub, I got the dumb. It's how I live my life. It's very easy for me to exist on that plane.
Maybe one day I can be like you. I got a couple more, maybe got a couple more pounds to go ahead and get, a couple more, farm animals to get out towards the backside, because I think that's one of the things that makes you a little bit unique, a lot of difference. You have not only just a farm, you got a whole entire farm, and I think that's what your swagger comes from. I think that's why a lot of people love you, that swagger, that unique swagger that you bring to the table. So you might think dumb, fat guy. A lot of people look a little bit different. Hey, look at you different.
Hey, look, I try to be a little modern day cowboy on the side. That's how I live my life. I just like to enjoy the outdoors. I like to be out on the farm, like to be with them animals. To let all you know, though, in chat, try to give you a heads up as Oxygen and Hive are getting ready to start this matchup. If we do see the Decide Station matchup has started early enough before this one, we might have a chance to take a sneak peek into that one. So I hope you all bear with me and bear with us while we try to get things sorted as we get loaded into map number 1, which is Regency Control between Oxygen and Hive. And as we wait for that, Jacob, I'll give you a little question and you can give me an answer. Yesterday, we actually saw 2 different styles on Regency, and both teams that took what I would say the early advantage came away with a victory. When we saw Rise win Regency, they played strictly for the hills. They played very objective heavy. And then also we saw the Pittsburgh Knights. They played very kill heavy and came away with a loss. How much do you think that's going to start speaking volumes as we get into this season, that the hills matter, that the objective becomes more important than just the flash and the dash of your stat line?
I think it's going to make people think a little bit more methodically, make a little bit more weight in their decisions, because right now, as it stands, especially when you kind of think the Pioneers have perfected it for the most part, the flash and dash, get in your face. If we don't get these eliminations now, we're just going to spawn up and get another chance, possibly another one, depending on how much time they give them. I think depending on what your play style is and how it is working out for you, I think it is going to allow for more crossplay, more Lancer play. You might go for the back and forth trades on overall hills, where if you don't give one, you may not make that second attempt for it. You're going to be trying to look to trap your opponent in there and then play to get the entirety of the second hill. But that's going to require you to up your defense a little bit, but which could work out for you depending on how your communication is, how your spots are, your marks, and your overall Lancer and pre-fire damages before those shotguns do get pulled out. I don't think overall it's going to change too many things, because when the Pioneers are in your face, when Rise is in your face, when they choose to get aggressive, I don't think it's going to allow for teams to set up like that. But I think if it does end up in that slow style of gameplay, it's just going to be a hill for hill battle.
Okay. I also, yesterday, one of the things that I started taking note of is the difference in, I would say, team chemistries and how they play certain hills. I really enjoyed watching Rise. They played from outside of the hill in, meaning they had players set up a couple of yards out, couple of yards here, and they had a chance to shoot back into the hill as they were getting approached and trying to have a retake get onto them. But hey, enough about Regency Control. Let's just go ahead and kick us on over to the side station, because we want to take a look at Pioneers versus Elevate. They're going to be on Spire for their map 1 control. This is going to be a good one. And already, Elevate way off to the races, crossing the 200-point threshold over the Pioneers.
I like this matchup overall too, because this is going to be a good one. Because look at it right now, the score line. The Pioneers, they came up short against Noble yesterday. Elevate had a big upset victory over the Pittsburgh Knights, and they're coming out strong against the Pioneers yet again. 100-point lead, and already looking like they're setting up defensively. Adverse once again taking out his Cellz, getting aggressive onto Zysho, makes him miss a shot with a little bit of movement, and pops him for it. That's going to be a double kill and another hill possible setup. That puts the weight on the precision with these frag grenades to come up. But first, Colin, he has to survive. First one's going to be dished out. Second one back to back. Not going to be able to net a kill with it and going down for it. It looks like Elevate, not only are they able to get this hill, they're putting the pressure on.
I mean, this might not even be a matchup, really. 15 seconds left to go. Zysho coming in with a little bit of a flank here. Gets one, gets a second. One big shot on a push. He could have gotten it down, but he misses two right there. Very uncharacteristic. And he's going to take shots from the bottom right side of the map. They know the next hill is going to spawn directly behind them. And while they get these kills, they know that Elevate is going to spawn forward of them. They have to figure out if Elevate starts to rotate to the side, cubby corners. Good little revive and down there by Precision. They're going to get the finish there on the pushes in just a moment. Can they get the finish? Because, I mean, he's still crawling around. Okay, Handles goes ahead and finishes him off. 3 players for Elevate alive on the map because there's only 3 players for Elevate. That we do have a disconnect. And look at this. The Pioneers down by 124 points are actually hanging outside of the hill. So a little sportsmanship.
57, 123. That's actually big. That's good sportsmanship. But you best believe Jackal and the rest of the squad right now are using that little bit of downtime to lag out as a blessing in disguise. That's going to be an opportunity for them to really talk about it and really try to fix things that go wrong, Colin.
Well, we get a sneak peek into the Pioneers versus Elevate, with Elevate starting off strong. But let's go right into our first game here on the main broadcast. We have Oxygen versus Hive. They're going to be on Regency control. And early in this one, Bronny versus Yachty. The 1v1 spot up here at that M-bar. And Bronny, he looks to be getting a little aggressive here, trying to find the angle onto Yachty. This is a big 1v1 for this power weapon. Down at the bottom, nobody has fallen to the wayside just yet, and they have not given up the hill or a ton of points. But it looks like, to me, Oxygen has taken over the hill now. And Yachty will get taken down by Bronny. So a great start by the side of Oxygen, and Hive are going to have to come back against the tide.
Yep. So far, they're getting that aggressive start that kind of you could think they would have, having leaning into it. Abolics, he's a good leader. He has the experience on his side, but even he likes to get aggressive. He likes to go ahead and get his hands dirty. But that's sometimes a leader, someone that you need, someone that's not afraid to get into the thick of it themselves. He has the frag grenades, though. You see Bronny set up with the end bar. The spots are there. And the biggest thing right now is no matter what happens onto this hill, Colin, they have that side of the map, which is crucial for this next hill. Once those eliminations come through, you see the rotation from Bronny at the top side of the map to go ahead and block over that spawn and get this next hill underneath the control. Hive knows it as well, and they're trying to maneuver, but 2 more eliminations are going in way of Oxygen. Abolics lets another one onto Cellz, backing up Yachty and Lava. You see the spawn cube come from thing 2, and this is where they're going to take a moment and breathe to try to figure out where they need to attack from now.
I'm actually a little shocked at that, Jacob. I really looked at that as 26, 27 seconds left on the clock. I said, Hive, gone ahead and rotate over. There's no need to play for this hill. You die, you're going to give up the spawn point, and you're going to come away with no points. And instead, they try one more attempt. They give up the spawn. They die off just like I thought they did. And already, they're getting wiped off the face of the map again. Oxygen starting off extraordinarily strong.
Yep, and this is something that you can kind of hint at when the things are going good. They get on a roll, momentum's on their side. It's looking good. But yesterday, you can kind of see the other half of that coin when things aren't looking good. Momentum isn't on their side. They aren't able to heat up. But that's neither here nor there because they're making it where Bronny gets another one. Rocky gets taken out, though. Thing 2 going down. Even though Rocky did get taken out, that staggering of the death, which is important. So a lot of you at home might be wondering, why are they leaving these players down? It's not necessarily a factor of disrespect, even though you might see a teabag here and there. It's to get the extra time where you have that man advantage. So once you get taken out, it's a 12-second respawn. If you leave that player there, it extends the respawn even further.
I don't like what I see from Lava here. No kills, 3 deaths, no assists even. They're not cleaning anything up. They're not getting any downs. Lava down once again, and they know that 2 players are back there as he gets revived off, and they haven't pushed up against him. They throw a shock to prevent him from coming into the backside of this hill. Cellz will be here in the middle. Cellz with the M-bar, looking for spots, looking for a chance to possibly get a shot onto somebody. The Flash will get the stun, but quickly off of the hill, Abolics wipes away Thing 2 and Lava. Now Cellz is in all the trouble in the world as he's just trying to fight for his life, and Yachty has to turn and try to burn on a Bronny, but he won't get it. Cellz finally answers back. He gets 1 kill, and he will slow down the roll of Oxygen, but it's not going to help him much in this situation. Already up 120-7. They're down 113, 114, just tick, 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 ticking away.
Yeah, right now it's over 70, maybe even 80 unanswered points by Hive, and they're just funneling in, getting taken out one by one by one. I would say at least that one, that attempt, that was all 4 of them going in as a cohesive unit, but they were just outmatched there. And you swear, I need to see them take their time. I said they need Lava in this exchange, not necessarily to slay, not necessarily to pull his Lancer out or even get a headshot with the N-bar. It's to his leadership, his experience, to put the troops where they want, figure out the strategy, and to go 4-man going again. This is going to be the 2nd attempt with the same exact strategy to go through. Rocky gets a trade. There goes Yachty trying to get something onto their side, even a revive with Thing 2, and it looks like they've done it, but call it, they get 16 seconds? That's nothing.
That is nothing at all for all that effort, all that work. Still down by over 100. This next hill, this is going to be P4, ladies and gentlemen. Right back here in the middle is P1 is the Rose Garden, P2 is the administration area where you're signing them up. P3 is that bottom right by the statue, and now we come to the middle of the map, top side of the M-bar. We're about to have it spawn in just a few more moments, and a big 4v4 will break out. A lot of shots onto Abolics, but nothing to show for it. Bronny actually downs him and goes with a quick pick on him, and they share ammo. Bronny, Abolics, they both have M-bars. They both got some ammo, got some shot to be able to ring out. Right now, not going to find anything just yet. They're giving up a ton of time here, but they're also wasting the M-bar shots from the side of Oxygen.
Oh, those frag grenades. Those frag grenades had to have connected with something. Splash damage. They have to kind of move up on them, but Cellz going down. They just maneuver around to get the rotations. 3 players there. They're funneling the remaining 2. Lava, Thing 2 both go down. Yachty gets eliminated elsewhere as well. That's another full-on squad wipe. Even though you see Cellz alive, that's fresh off of the respawn. Trying to get the angle. They are just getting outclassed on almost every faucet right now. And Colin, I got to ask you, with everything that you're seeing, the aggression coming out of Oxygen, what does Hive need to do to get into this matchup?
And I like right here, Oxygen playing out a little bit. They're going to push out one player in the bottom, even though he's going to die. Even though Abolics is going to die right there, there's a lot of area for the side of Hive to have to cover. And I think this first map is going to be a wash. I mean, I think Hive,
you don't think they can get back into it?
They're going to have to be perfect. I mean, by perfect, I mean hold on to every hill for the rest of the time possible. And not drop a lot. I mean, they're going to have to almost go undefeated in fights. They're going to have to not be able to die.
I mean, I've seen some crazier things happen. I don't know what the biggest comeback we've seen so far on the Pro League, but we've seen some big ones. Cell get that elimination. Hopefully that can be the tipping point for this Hive roster, but Thing 2 goes down. That's going to be a 2v1. Lava has to pick and choose his battle wisely, but he gets the down and out onto Bronny. Scavzy stuck here by himself, but the cross is no more. His teammates now have his hands busy. 3 separate 1v1s going down onto the battlefield, but that spawn coming fresh in. Rocky getting the cross. Lava going down. The trade coming through, though, which is important for Yachty and the rest of this Hive roster trying to stay alive, but Rocky, he's going to go ahead and try to get the contestation. Goes back for the revive. His and Scavzy going down. This is some moments right here for Hive, but like Colin said, they have to be perfect, and this is only the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, they stay here for the rest of the time. They get up to about 80 points to 217 of Oxygen. Bronny with 5 more shots in the M-bar. He marks out Lava, and they're going to 2v1 him here. They know they've got him trapped like a rat as he tries to run away from the hill. And now with that kill, that leaves a little opening for the rest of the players from Oxygen to try to pressure out Thing 2 here at the Rose Garden and possibly Cellz and Yachty up at the hill. And look at that, the clean sweep, the clean wipe, the clean hill retake. And 20 more points gets them to 240 and gets Oxygen within a minute's worth of time in the hill for a dub.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Worst things could have happened. It could have been a whole hill that they lost rather than maybe 10 seconds because they didn't even cap the full 22 that was on it. Rotation coming in. Hive did get there first towards the respawn, but they didn't anchor in towards the actual hill. That's Oxygen. That's Scavzy. That's Rocky. That's going to hold this position. They have a 3v2 disadvantage. So I should call it a 2v3, but the rotation is coming in. Oxygen is just playing aggressive. They're not backing down from the fight. The downs are there. The eliminations as well. Rocky's going to get 2. Bronny and Abolics, though, they're going to fall. So the sandwich is going beginning to form for Hive, but Cellz bites off more than he can chew. He gets taken out. So now the advantage hovers back on over to Oxygen, and it is going to be complete. Rocky showing his muscles as he takes down Yachty, begins to stagger out those deaths. Now Hive has to choose. Do you waste the time, which you don't have, to get 4-man, or do you make a 3-man push against the 4-man squad of Oxygen?
Not sure here. I think they're going to have to make that decision sooner rather than later. They're just going to have to start pushing up. 46 seconds to go, down to 40 alone. There's the flashes, but the beautiful angle from Bronny is going to make everybody's life a living hell trying to get into the backside of that hill. A little team kill out from Bronny, but it's not going to help because Abolics, Scavzy, and Bronny are going to finish all 4 off. There is not enough time to win the game on this hill, but by God in heaven, they can surely zip it up.
Tip top of that mountain. They continue to collect the time. 2 players there as you see Hive beginning to rotate over. Cellz is going to have to go big. He has to be a hero, as Colin would say, a big Herculean effort as he connects with one, but instantly he's taken down by Bronny. Even if Bronny dies here, he's done more than enough, but he goes back to back, taking out Lava. Yachty's getting taken out by a frag grenade. Thing 2 is all by his lonesome, not going to even teeter towards the hill, which is only 22 seconds. Colin, 22 seconds is all Oxygen needs, with 75 seconds left up for grabs once this hill makes the rotation, and already they're beginning to collect points. Hive needs to think quick. They need to think fast because that 22 is the 15.
And that nade actually saves that player. I believe it saved Rocky, who's playing on the backside of the Rose Garden. He throws a frag, picture perfect, over the top of the Rose, and beautiful back A out of Abolics. Now he's got thing 2 in his sights. Now he's got Lava in his sights. He ain't scared. He ain't afraid of no beehive. He said, boy, we might as well bust them. They got that dub right there in 10 minutes and 9 seconds, and they did it in scintillating, sensational fashion. Rocky, only 14k damage, because when you don't have that many opponents to fight, you can't get that much damage, but 15 kills and 15 assists, that makes him your MVP for map number 1, and I don't see a thing Hive did right that entire time.
2 deaths? 2 deaths? Bronny died 2 times, Colin. Not once, but only twice. Bronny, it was definitely a factor into that matchup. And we talked about Lava and Cellz and how great they did towards the end of the last split. But Bronny, some people might forget what he's able to do in his short stint on that roster of Vanquish. He was a big, aggressive factor into that roster. And he may not have found the pieces then and there to go ahead and find that resurgence before. But I think with this Oxygen roster, finding that roster change that you talk about after losing to Outcast, now known as Hive, I think this is the push that they needed.
I mean, he gives them a whole different level of entertainment, of offensive caliber push. He makes them fantastic. And as you take a look at these replays, there is going to be a lot of Oxygen, because there are not too many highlights from Hive in that map number 1. And Jacob, they've really got to readjust going into map 2. They've got to play a lot better, because they just got absolutely stomped on their map pick.
Yeah, stomped, put out like a dog who, you know, just wet the bed inside. You just put them out for the night, man. Don't come back in. But I wouldn't do that, man. I wouldn't do that to them. And the reason why I wouldn't do that to them, Colin, is because Checkout is map number 2. Checkout is one of those maps to where you can throw out a lot of strategy. It's one of those maps to whatever went wrong in map number 1, you can go ahead and get that reset. You can begin to play a little bit aggressive, send 4-man over, 3-man over. Heck, you can even play it slow with those frag grenades at the end of the day. It's once you get that first blood, which usually happens in the first couple of seconds, that you can begin to capitalize. And if Cellz or Lava begin to find their groove in map number 2 on the Checkout, we could see a 1-1 score line. We could see a reset of a mindset, which is absolutely imperative going into what could be a final map in map number 3, Training Grounds.
They're going to certainly need a whole heck of a lot of things to come to fruition for them as they go into Checkout. Last night, we saw a difference of opinion on this between the Knights and Elevate when they played it. The Knights overloading the sniper, overloading that long shot every single round, except for maybe one or two where they actually took up that 1v1 over at the nades. It really helped them out, and there were times where Dez and I had put people on skates. He was getting headshot after headshot, body shots to help his teammates. That's exactly what you were talking about with the ability to possibly play a couple of different looks, give a couple of different styles against your opponent, whether you want to play for the platform, play for the long shot, or even bring somebody over from those nades and try to win a 1v1. That's going to be crucial to me because Oxygen right now, they look like they probably have a more solidified or better 1v1 squad. When Hive couldn't set up and Hive couldn't play defense, it was very hard for them to win any fights against Oxygen because Oxygen's offense was just overwhelming. With Lava, Cellz, and Thing 2 and Yachty, they've got to get a little bit better in the 1v1 category, if you ask me. They've got to be a little bit more precise in their shots that they're going to hit because if you give up the frag grenades, they're going to be able to rotate those very quickly into that secondary fight at the long shot. And if you don't take the chance and you're not solidified in your 1v1, you're going to give up a lane somewhere on an execution map.
Yep, and it's very, very important too. You think about there's a lot of teamwork in towards the middle of the map. Whoever plays that back lane usually has a smoke, usually towards the Lancer. You have to have that individual mindset of when to help your team. You're going to hear a lot of communication, probably a lot of call outs of damage. You need to know when to hold your ground, to go ahead and dish out that DPS with the Lancer, and when you need to go ahead and quit that Lancers, quit that support, and become that tip of the spear shotgun player to try to save the day at the end of this one. But check out, I do think towards the beginning, we're going to see some 3-1s, a lot of strategy tried to kind of play out. But once that first elimination does happen in the beginning, that's what's going to be a mad dash to try to equal it up or to try to get out alive, try to escape with a power weapon, try to make a rotation somewhere. But I do think it's going to put a lot of pressure onto Cellz. And I do think, and I'm going to pinpoint him specifically in this matchup to try to find those eliminations, to try to find the picks. Even if things slow down, I think it's going to him and Lava, whether they're alive or dead, being that 1-2 combo to try to figure out what the plan is.
Without a doubt, I couldn't agree with you anymore if I tried. I think the thing that a lot of viewers don't take necessarily into consideration when it comes to execution is the fact that in execution, you get that first kill, you get that ice-breaking kill. You need to be able to reset and not just get a trade to where it just becomes a 3-3 again. And already a trade comes through on the platform. Secondary shots coming out from Cellz. And Thing 2's won the 1v1 down low against Bronny. He gave up the area for Bronny to push forward and actually gets the win there. Now it's a 3 versus 2. They have the ability to push across here, as I believe they have the utility nades if they want to use them. And never mind, they've already used them. Nobody picked up those incendiaries. I thought maybe Cellz stayed there long enough to pick them. The 2v1 gets one on the opposite side. They get the down. Now they get the kill on the opposite. Good first round by Hive here to get the first one under their belt. They need to win this second map, though. They need to not get too far ahead of themselves against Oxygen.
I mean, you called out a couple players, specifically Thing 2 in those 1v1 scenarios. You said it was imperative because how damaging those frag grenades can be. And Colin, after that first round, what do you think?
Well, I think what Thing 2 actually did was bring himself into that fight for the ability to Lancer out into those checkout lanes. And Bronny thought, hey, I'm going to be able to flash and dash out. I'm going to be able to get right up in his grill and try to take him out. Thing 2 luckily had the shots he needed to be able to win his fight because Bronny was on the opposite side of the map. He had crossed the 50-yard line and was getting shot on. Yachty's actually taking the front side of the fight now when they've switched over a couple of areas here. Yachty will go down. Cellz is not going to be able to answer back as quickly this time. It's a 3v3, knotted up. Aids picked up by Bronny, and Bronny will win the 1v1 down low now. It's going to be a 2v3, and no kills being found again. Lava all by himself in a 2v1 here on checkout.
Kept that player pretty weak on the left side. He kind of knows it for a second, but they're taking their time on the side of Oxygen. That frag grenade was just to buy them time throughout one. Diz going to get the second one going wide, making sure to shut down that angle from Lava. Options becoming slim, and Lava finally goes down, and Bronny kind of just dishing it back. This is a back and forth battle between these two teams. You said it yourself, from qualifiers till now. That's weeks. That is weeks long, and they're just showing absolutely no respect to the competition.
Not right now, anyway. They had a demanding and commanding lead in map 1 and finish it off in style. Here they come to map 2. Hive shows a little love after an impressive round 1 victory. Oxygen gives it right back here in round 2. and knot this thing up. Don't get it twisted. That minute and 16 seconds was about 45 seconds worth of fighting and 30 seconds or so worth of trash talk. And now coming into round 3, we need to see if Yachty can stay alive a little bit longer. He got into the checkout lanes, but he was heavily damaged, and he had gotten double stunned. They had already hit him with one flash. They threw a second one late, which is what the tipping point was, the thing that caused him to die. Again, Thing 2 will be in the 1v1 down low against Bronny, so smokes out, flashes out. Rocky makes it into the middle checkout lane, pretty unscathed, not hurt as much as you'd like him to be, maybe be able to settle him down. So I think the big issue here is going to be whether or not Thing 2 can get some damage or get a fight win against Bronny.
And just take notice the difference right now between Lava and I do believe that might be Scavzy. It's kind of the back lane players. Scavzy's pushed up. Lava's ready to Lancer back. So it does look like an aggressive option is there towards the back lane for Oxygen, but Rocky going to be that middle player, the flex. And I think right now they need to kind of keep note of where Rocky is going to rotate, because if you see an aggressive play towards Plat where Abolics might try to hop up, he's going to help it. Rocky trying to make the rotation, lands the first shot on the Cellz and lands the kill blow as well. Instance no more. Back to back as he lands it on the Yachty. Almost gets another one, but guess what? We're going to count it anyway. That's going to be a hat trick for Rocky. And Oxygen once again goes up against Hive 2-1. And they're just returning the favor.
Yeah, they're just giving it right back to him. A beautiful round again by Oxygen. They are just picking apart Hive at this point in map number 2. And this is going to be very interesting as what people are going to be able to see out of this is the dominating performance by Oxygen is going to be a big confidence booster. I think going to map 5 against Rise gave them a different level, a different edge here. And I think they're probably using that as the leg to stand on and say, hey, look, we got it. We can stay up with the best of them. This might be the roster we needed to go forward with. And now they're proving that point even further as Abolics tries to push across on a Cellz. Cellz makes him miss with the first one. He gets the kill. Pickup comes out on the other side, and a 2-shot down from Scavzy will help out the cause. Trading out, Rocky trying his best. He's going to double bounce in, play that Black Steel Savage Cantus, trying to be as thin as humanly possible. But he's going to be barreled down on by 3 different people from the side of Hive.
He's just baiting out shots, trying to get him to peek. Lava Glance over the top. Thing 2 going wide. I think it's just a lack of respect of just wanting to assert your dominance type of thing. I think it's they just want to assert their dominance, but
no, I don't see it as that, because again, at the end of the day, neither of these teams. This is I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this, but I'm a straight shooter, and I'm just gonna say it like it is. At the end of the day, these teams are not going to be the teams that you're going to see a lot of people go, you know what, they're winning a championship. And because of that, they now have to prove themselves, not just for themselves or against those championship caliber opponents. They got to do it against the whole pack of dogs. And I mean, you do not want to be the runt of the litter, because you know what happens to the runt of the litter, Jacob? He dies.
Oh no.
He don't make it to the food bowl, and he don't come back, baby. It's just what happens. And in Gears Esports, you want to be the big dog. You don't want to be sitting up on a porch watching them run off and play in the yard.
Damn, you want to be a big dog. Colin's saying it right, and Abolics trying to be that big dog, going out wide. Gets the sniper. First down is going to come through, but he's going to escape for now. And Abolics, we know how great he can be with that sniper, and dodges an instant all simultaneously. But I do think there might be one left. One left in somebody's pocket. That's going to be Yachty. Yes, the only throwable left. That 1v1 is stalemated out wide, so I would love to see Abolics. Yes, he's beginning to kind of stretch out wide, play with that 1v1 scenario. The next big weapon that you can kind of pick up is going to be those frag grenades. So if you can influence that fight, whether it's through fakes, whether it's through hitting a body shot like that, that's going to allow Bronny
free reign to run across. I like the thing too is trying to hold that angle to try to get that big body shot onto him. Doesn't get it. The free run comes out. Yachty goes down to the body shot. Now Abolics will answer back. It'll be a 3v4, and Oxygen will have the nades. You see Thing 2 trying to rotate away from the fight. I like that. I think one nade was actually thrown at him. The second one thrown at the last couple of players for Hive to try to separate them out.
Bronny has one more.
Oh, big shot. Big body shot. But another down comes through. Lava needs to be able to get that shot to land to help his teammate. He doesn't get it to go. Lava down. And Lava will get just a shot in the face. They're going to roll away from that.
That was scary, though. They gave him a chance to get into it. That was the scary thing. He did use that one frag grenade, but I felt like they needed to go ahead and really capitalize on that 1v1, and this was Hive trying to capitalize on that lack of awareness towards that middle section where he was trying to take those sniper shots. Hey, if you're gonna take those sniper shots, we're gonna at least try to make you pay for it. But we talked about, or at least I said it, a very feared sniper into Abolics. Rarely misses. If anybody remembers Gears of War 4 on Dam, those headshot battles with the sniper from hill to hill, people didn't put it there because they didn't want to go up against Abolics.
Well, what we'll see here is a lag out from Rocky, and we're going to probably have a stalemated round or two here as we will wait for him to get back into the game. You can see Hive bouncing around, but they know what the situation is. They're not going to take advantage of it. They're going to sit back and relax and just take their time going into the rest of these rounds. They need to use this right now to try to talk about what it is they need to do better. And I think one of the things they can do better is we saw towards the end of that last round when they full sended, they had Yachty head downing at the sniper with a Nasher out, but nobody had Lancer or Snub trying to put in the damage. So there wasn't even a chance for Yachty to kind of get a first shot down or answer back, or maybe even a chunk. That needs to be something they really consider or think about going forward.
No, I agree with you, but go ahead, and it makes me kind of wonder here for a moment, just really kind of like watching at it right now. And I said it in one of those rounds where I talked about Scavzy pushing up in the back lane. You had multiple players playing aggressive on towards the plat, and I said Rocky's going to be that player. And I'm not saying it just necessarily looking at his stat line, he's 8-1, but if you look at the damage, he's not necessarily putting out that damage. So what I think Hive needs to do is really take focus, because if you see Rocky really running at you, it's not necessarily because I'm scared he's going to 1 or 2 shot down me, because that's where the focus of the fight is going to be at. He's going to have some backup, that crossfire over his shoulder, making sure that the damage is there to get the 1 shot or that 1 or 2 shot down or the chunk to come through, which is what Rocky is doing right now with his stat line. You can already see it. Scavzy towards the back lane, 6 assists. So him and Rocky are that 1-2 punch combo.
Well, here we come into the next round as everybody's back into the game, and we will roll out a spawn. Let's see if the 1-2 punch combo for either squad will help them get a victory here. Hive looking to try to tie it up at 3-3. Oxygen looking to go up 4-3. Yachty up top will pick the Insins, but he'll go down, and nobody's there for the revive. Yachty's going to get cleaned up, and that's going to open up a window of opportunity for Oxygen to just fly across the back of the checkout lane. Cellz, he's going to try his best to bounce around. He's going to go down, and they're going to show the love here. They're going to showcase that love, and think too, he's going to be trapped here at the backside of the electronics. He's going to go down, and more love will be shown by the side of Oxygen. They are going up 4-2 here and be 2 rounds away from a 2-0 lead over Hive.
Yeah, almost instantly again. The smoke towards the back lane. Scavzy pushing out wide, getting that Lancer damage. But not only is he putting that Lancer damage out, he's making himself a target. He's making that player towards the back lane on the opposition, saying, hey, do I shoot this guy Lancering, try to get the down, get the elimination, possibly first blood to go up 1, or do I try to put the damage towards the outside? And you're going to see it yet again, a lot of that damage. He was at 6 assists before for Scavzy, 8 now, which is those first 2 first bloods towards the plat side.
I want to see Hive be able to answer. I mean, again, Yachty did not have a good answer there. When he rolled away from that, he was stuck still on the top of that platform. Nobody close enough to go for that revive. Nobody was able to give a helping hand in that situation. Let's see what happens here. Cellz will look back against Bronny. They're going to switch up the player placement. Thing 2 comes out of the fight, and that is a very telling sign for me. I actually very much... I hate that a little bit for Hive, because it almost tips your hand that you don't. It's almost, oh God, Jacob, I don't know how to say this any easier. It's like you didn't have faith in Thing 2 to win that 1v after that first round. You brought him out of it.
Yeah, either that or honestly just the overall switch up. I can get why they would switch it up. Things weren't necessarily going and falling in their favor. They made a switch up happen, right, Colin? They sent 4 players over. If you're sending 4 players over, you better take advantage of that extra man. Get that sniper, get the plat lane, get some sort of positioning. But if you looked at the mini-map the entirety of the time, it was almost like they hit a brick wall and were stuffed. So that extra man towards the back lane is almost like he didn't really know what to do. Do I get aggressive? Do I fall back with the team? And it was like shooting fish in a barrel from there with the frag grenade, picking off them one by one by one. And Oxygen right now, 11, 3, and 3 from Rocky. They're knowing exactly what they want to do, when they want to do it. It doesn't look like Hive has anything to say about it.
Let's see if Oxygen throws a little trick strat in here. No, they're going to go with their standard 3-1, and Hive will actually send all 4 to this side of the map. They're going to give up the nades to Bronny. Bronny will now throw 1. It's not going to get anybody. Yachty will find it down onto Scavzy. Rotating in is Bronny from the backside. He has 1 more frag to throw, and he's holding on to it. I love this hold by Bronny. He's going to have to use that frag to try to really herd the players of Hive wherever they want. He's going to throw 1 out. They're going to herd to the left, and now the instants will come out. Thing 2 found it down, but did not find a kill. Cellz is going to shoot off 1, and he almost runs into the incendiary. Another death comes through. It's 3 versus 4. Map point here for Oxygen, and they've got the last couple of players for Hive trapped like rats, scurrying away, trying to escape the sinking ship that would have been the Titanic, because Oxygen acted like an iceberg and split their hopes, dreams, and ship alive. Jacob, Oxygen is looking so much more impressive than they did last night. They start off hot against Hive, and they go up 2-0 in this series. And ladies and gentlemen, they're going to want to finish it out, and they're going to try to do it on Training Grounds Escalation. That's coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gears Esports Pro League Night 2, and we are in the midst of our first matchup where Hive has gone down 0-2 to the side of Oxygen, and Oxygen has looked wholly impressive in both of these matches.
Yeah, honestly, they're looking like a brand new team. More than just a roster change. It's looking like they found themselves, but I'm going to go ahead and question it right now because they're going up against the Hive roster, who's also trying to figure things out on their own. So I think this is just a little bit of a test where you're at right now. After that big loss yesterday, it's going to be a big answer back. So when you end the week at the end of the day, Colin, you can go ahead and at least hang something. You can build off of something. You already have a foundation.
And I really enjoy right now the way that they're playing with supreme confidence. You see them flying at fights. You don't see them trying to like play back. They're not playing scared. They know that they have a decided advantage over their opponents, and they are taking every single shot possible. And I think that's a good sign for them and a good sign for fans of Oxygen. You can see it there, 300-58, 6-2 on checkout. Now going into Training Grounds Escalation, you see anything that gives you cause to pause and maybe a little hope for the fans of Hive?
No, not even a lick, not even a piece of honey, not a honeycomb, not a stinger on the back, nothing. I feel like right now they're not even playing out of shell of what I expected them to be. And a lot of people can go ahead and make excuses, you know, whatever it may be, this, that, or the other. I firmly believe, and I don't want to take too much away from Oxygen. I just feel like Hive is just playing out of shell of what they can actually be at towards the end of the season, where I expected them to be, where you kind of saw through the qualifiers. Right now, they just come out flat. But that's honestly what happens, Colin, at the end of the day. When you come into these matchups, you need to perform on any given day, at any given time slot, whatever what the schedule is, you have to be ready to perform. And I think today, Hive, it's just simply not their day. And Oxygen is just using this as a warm-up match, a practice match for the rest of the season. They're just taking full advantage of them.
I completely understand that point, and I don't see any reason to disagree with it at this point in time. I just don't see it coming out of Hive right now. I really expected a lot more out of them early in this matchup, but 2 maps in a row, it has not come to fruition for them. Unsure what the comms are like there. You know, always we try to ponder and guess and pontificate on what these guys are talking about, but it's just hard to imagine when you lose 300-58 what you could really be talking about. Like, man, nothing is going right. And then 6-2. And you said it during the break. We chit-chatted a little bit. You said they're just not winning any fights. And really, it didn't look like they even were in the fights. And a lot of times they were just getting swarmed and wolf-packed, all pun intended, because Oxygen was playing as the swarm in the last matchup. As we go into Escalation with kind of your neutral weapons to start with, do you believe round 1 kind of even favors Oxygen more because of the fact that you got to kind of headbutt somewhere? You've got to take those default weapons into a fight, Lance or Nash or Snub, and hope to come out on the other side? Or do you see that Hive, do you see that as something Hive is going to have to take note of? They're going to have to put a power weapon down. They need to make this about a team fight and almost turn this into something to play for, because they're not winning anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the first round's going to be a little shaky. They could still surprise with a 3-1 over on one side of the map. They can still try to really take advantage of Oxygen on that first round. But yes, I agree with you. They need to put that big weapon down. They need to take away as much of that strategy as possible. Once you win that initial fight, whether if it's a torque bow, boom shot, M-bar, whatever it may be, that's when you need to begin to, I wouldn't even say worry because you got the M-bar, but begin to worry if you're going to be able to put it to use. I was talking about Cellz need to heat up, Lava needs to heat up in this exchange right now, and they really need to shut them down early because Oxygen is one of those teams to where you can fluster them, you can get under their skin, and you can begin to take these rounds if you chip away at it. But right now, Hive, they're just not doing what they need to do to chip away at them. They're not winning those 1v1 exchanges that we talked about. They're not winning those overall team battles. Heck, they're not even taking advantage when they send 4 over and there's 3 players of Oxygen. So right now, they need to put a fire under the behind, put some pep in their step, and really start to be proactive.
And we're going to find out if they're going to be able to be proactive enough. Again, they got to roll out a spawn on training grounds. And we know that first half hill setup, the one hill at range usually becomes a little bit contested as both players will have to hop and drop to get there. Up top of that overlook, you always think about who might have right-hand advantage, who's going to try to take advantage of that as well, try to get across the top of the overlook and help out. This could get very interesting, especially because this should be going back over to Hive's map pick. So Hive will theoretically be playing Swarm if that's how they played it out, worked it out in their picks and bans. They're going to have right-hand advantage first round in Overlook. Last night, we saw Oxygen do something that I haven't seen a lot of teams do, but I really enjoyed it. They kept leaving a player in Heaven simply to lancer out whoever's trying to rotate across the top of Overlook, and it was allowing them to keep intact a bit of an advantage at the top of that spot without giving up too much geography on the map. Yes, you might give up the initial cap on the range hill, but if you save your teammates down there at that Overlook and you fight, they can rotate across the map, go home to home, and now your job just becomes play defense. You just got to guard man up a little bit and try to stop them from getting a retake on your own home.
Yep, and I kind of like the way you kind of pointed out that, especially on that side of the map, it does tend to be a little bit of a 1v1 scenario. And with how well Oxygen is playing like a well-oiled machine, winning exchange after exchange, whether it's lance or shotgun, power weapon involved, do you think there's going to come a point in moment where Hive maybe gets a little bit of desperation involved, where they send that one player to get aggressive instead of just capping the hill? They try to take out that player, especially towards the second half where that Heaven does contain an actual hill. Do you think we're going to see that, or do you think it's too early into the season for these players to be making those desperate moves?
I mean, I don't look at it as too early ever. You're in a matchup week to week. There's only a limited number of matches to try to solidify your seeding going into a major or a mid-split playoff, whatever it might be. So I think Hive needs to start getting desperate no matter what. If they got to change around their spawn points, if they've got to try to press fights that they need to press, I want to see them do that here in map 3. I'd like to see them come out on top of the victory here and at least make things interesting. Try to send it to a map number 4, because last night they had a pretty impressive showing against the team in Rebel who's been great throughout the preseason. Tonight they come out and, like you said, they are absolutely flat, like the name was non-bread. You know what I'm saying, baby? They do not look puffy at all.
It looked like that my soda left out overnight, trying to wake up. There's no fizz, there's no pop. It's just flat. There's nothing. No one wants to drink that, especially when you got that 2-liter and you got somebody trying to troll you and just pop it open every 2 seconds to flatten it on purpose. That's Hive right now. They have just been flattened on purpose. And honestly, I don't want to say it's lights out for them. We've seen some miracle happen. We've seen some major series comeback sweeps towards the tail end of things, so it's not over just yet. But I think the early portions of this round, overall training grounds, since you need it to force the second map, is going to be telling. And Hive immediately have thing 2 going down early, and that was a great rotation from Rocky. He played a big force in that execution, already starting off hot in the escalation.
Now we see Abolics just using that cover and using that leverage against Lava and I think Yachty here, and they try to go for the double bounce in the up A. They get one. Lava now has to worry about Rocky, and he's going to go down to the up A of Rocky, the little wrap out, excuse me. And this is exactly what I talked about. Oxygen saw an opening to try to overpress to that triple cap really at this point, because they already have B. They have their home, and Rocky, he pulls back. He's going to stand up and stand stout here and simply look for the initial pullback from Hive. All 4 players now alive, and he's going to be able to see where they rotate to. He's going to call out that Lava has decided to push up into Heaven, which is going to give them the ability to maybe protect that B hill if anybody decides to push down from that range fight. I like this from Rocky, holding that ledge and just getting big shots over that cover. Puts his face into the brick. That's why, that's why he puts his face inside of a brick wall.
Dodges that one, clustering the two players who are stuck towards the low ground. They have a cross over the top on the side of Hive, which is actually going to get 2 downs, 2 big downs for them. They're going to go ahead and let that stagger out. That was Yachty who was able to anchor down that backside, win his 1v1 exchange against Scavzy to go ahead and stretch this far. Could be a triple cap domination here. The pressure is now going to be on Scavzy, who lost that exchange early on. He's going to go ahead and prolong this round, keep them alive, maybe not get the capture just yet, but crucial damage to back down Yachty. But the reinforcements are there. Cellz, Thing 2, they've shown up to the fight, but they lose Yachty either way. Thing 2's actually gonna fall. Thing 2 goes down. Now what could have been a triple cap domination in favor of Hive goes right out the window as Oxygen now set their sails of a triple cap on their own.
They're trying to get across the map here. You can see Abolics on the home hill of Hive, buying his team some time, and he will have to scurry away here. You can see multiple players from Hive spread out across the map. I mean, they're going to be trapped here in a moment. I actually think we're going to see 2 or 3 deaths from Hive just momentarily. Lava has to hold his own here against Scavzy. If he can stay alive here, it gives him a big opportunity, but he's going to get clobbered and taken down, and that's going to open up the retake by Oxygen into that B hill. And without it being capped up, all they got to do is kind of get this kill and get on it, and they can really much wrap up round 1.
Everything boiled down to that triple cap domination. That moment where they were putting that pressure on and they fell because of it. They get the day cap onto this neutral hill. Cellz goes down. Lava now has to be able to clutch this 1v2 scenario. He's staying alive, but only for so long. His days are definitely numbered here, as it does look like we're going to complete the comeback on the side of Oxygen Esports. Even with Bronny going down to Thing 2 there. And Colin, can you break what was the moment there? Was it just him overstepping his boundaries? Was it Cellz and Thing 2 just trying to save and be the hero when they shouldn't have? What do you think was that big moment in the round?
They tried to press and they tried to be the hero, like you said. And when they got separated, they found themselves getting flanked in 2 different occasions. Lava ended up getting the first kill and then had a chance to kind of turn and try to get a second kill. He would have had to win 3 consecutive 1v1s in order to stay alive there. And then what we saw on the back end was Cellz. He didn't get either of the kills up at the top of the overlook. Rocky had Abolics had a free run at him, got the 1-shot chunk, and then rotated right back down into his own fighting territory.
Goes to show you have to be on the same page every second of the matchup, every inch of the battlefield, or you can just come up short when you don't even expect it to. And Oxygen, they get the right hand towards the top half. They got Scavzy crossed over the top. That's going to back down Cellz, but the down is going to be there. Abolics, he's going to fall, but that was just a bait and moment. Yachty, that's going to be a big shot onto Bronny. Abolics is alive for now. Scavzy over the top is able to get 1, but Abolics goes down. So it does look like Oxygen might lose this exchange, but Rocky, not if he has anything to say about it. That's going to be a big shot, and they trade. Rocky gets the trade, but Abolics goes down, and Lava's going to be the last man standing on this initial.
And he'll be up at the top of the overlook, and you see Thing 2 having to scurry away here because the other 2 players were able to pressure him out of the position to be able to shoot onto that B hill. They get the cap, and again, Lava being alive at the overlook would have been great if they could have pressured the B hill. The fact that they can't, and the fact that Oxygen's now off of respawn is going to get a little bit harder because as they press up to the top of the overlook, Lava will not have your cross. He's not going to have your extra shots. Big first down comes through. Lava rotating down to try to help out. He's going to get shots on his Scavzy. There's a big down there. Rocky rotates into the middle of the map. This is going to be Yachty versus 2 here. Backside of the U. He has to stay alive to try to wait for a teammate to rotate around. Not going to do it quick enough. And now there's 2 separate 1v1s on.
Oh my God. Cellz making the right play at the right time to get the flank and the Mr. Krabs play to go through. So even though they did win that neutral fight over towards the U, the battle, the overall war of that round was won by a great rotational play by Cellz. So Hive still not going down without a fight. So they're showing there's still life left as Retro's being upgraded on the side of Hive. It does look like Oxygen They might follow suit, upgrade with a retro of their own, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. This is an evenly matched battle on this map of Escalation so far, which is actually telling. It's telling to the endurance, the confidence that Hive actually have in their team, that they're not going down without a fight. The 2 beatdowns of a map are outside of the window with the pitcher's mentality that they may possess, which is going to be refreshing, which is absolutely needed if they want to come back into the series. Beginning to kind of push up. Nobody making that move just yet. Overlook is going to go over towards Hive. They have that 3-man over. One person watching that flank. Yachty's trying to back up. The cross is there from Scavzy. Yachty gets first blooded. Bronny back-to-back. So that's back-to-back eliminations. They go up 4v2. Lava evens it up, or at least tries to, with getting one and staying alive for that time being. Thing 2 buying all that time that was necessary, but now it's him who needs to continue to buy that time, keeping the team alive. Threatened with a triple cap domination. Scavzy forced back. Thing 2 needs to get in the hill, and he's going to achieve that. The decap looking like it's going to come through. Repositioning in this exchange against Scavzy to keep the round going, but he finally loses his life. Nobody was able to make that move onto the home hill as Cellz gets cleaned up as well, as Oxygen takes that round and teeters it over 2-1, which is absolutely massive as they continue to sway the momentum in their favor. So that makes me question Hive heavily. Right now, they switched up some strategies. They had some players begin to get aggressive. They had a good round number 2 victory with that Mr. Krabs play. But with it being a trick play, I begin to kind of question in my own right mind, as I do believe we kind of lost Colin there for a moment. So a little bit of podcast, solo cast going down. Yours truly. Some of you may love it. Some of you may hate it. But at the end of the day, it's what we got as Ensigns being upgraded, sniper down towards the middle of the field. And that's one of the things that Colin and I talked about before he kind of dropped out there, is that a big weapon, when and if it will go down on the side of Hive, to kind of take out some of that strategy, to kind of switch it up, since it is going to be towards the middle of the field. And Rocky's getting that kill potential. Ensigns, he's been a big impact player so far. Lava getting that first down onto Abolics. No revive, no cleanup going through just yet. And actually, it is going to be a revive. Bronny going down. He actually does not secure the revive. 2 first big initial kills for Hive as they continue to show life when some players might be doubting them here and there. The dust settles on this initial, though. They get that neutral hill capture for Hive. So not only did they win the battle for the power weapon, they won that early man advantage. They won the early point capture onto the neutral hill. That allows them not only to set up, but allows them to put Cellz in this position, get the information, they figure out what they want to do when the push comes through, and they have no more time to think. Scavzy is going ahead and pushing towards the back line. He wants to get those Lancers out of play, but the revive chain has to be absolutely perfect for Oxygen as they continue to stare down Lava, pushing him deep in towards the spawn, and nobody's able to get this elimination. Lava, slick as can be, surviving the onslaught of players. Now he has the help onto this side from a 1v2 into a 2v1. Another sniper is going to connect from Cellz, but I don't think those are impactful just yet into the fights that anybody can kind of clean him up, as Bronny cleans up one onto Lava. He's doing a good job here staying alive, as Thing 2 needs to get this elimination, and a melee is going to secure that. Abolics falls, so nobody having the upper hand just yet when it comes to personnel onto the battlefield. But when it comes to the hills, Oxygen, they have the tipping point. Everybody's slowing down for this moment, and Oxygen knows they don't have to make any big moves. They have those players coming off of respawn, and that was the advantage Hive needed. They didn't take advantage of the few short seconds where they had a 4v2, and I think this might be that moment they begin to kind of regret not making that move. And see 2 players in your minimap towards the bottom half of the map trying to spread the defense thin. They get that information on the side of Hive. They're going to push the 2v1 exchange towards the top half while simultaneously trying to get the decap. They might be doing too much in my book, but if they secure these eliminations, it might not be enough. As they do, Thing 2 gets 2. Scavzy trying to be the hero. He's able to get the down on the Thing 2. This could be big make or break from Hive. They get the eliminations. They get the 2v3 victory at the bottom half of the map, and they get the round victory to go into the half all tied up at 2 rounds apiece. This is where I'm just, trying to think, what would Colin be saying here? I know he was one of the first people to kind of pinpoint the really differences that go down. I know it was on Asylum a few seasons ago where teams began to favor shot grenades versus incendiary grenades into the exact battle. And he was one of the people that kind of pointed it out here again into the new season yesterday. You see it once more right in front of us, the shot grenade versus the incendiary grenade battle. That AoE effect, if you could take advantage of it in a timely manner, could be huge. But if you don't, that incend grenade, that instant kill potential is going to be massive. And it followed. I do think I finally got somebody joining me for a moment. We're trying to get somebody in here. But see it on your mini map, thanks to J Ribs. See the incendiary grenades that I was talking about. Rocky picking those up, going straight to that mid battle, 2v2 in towards the middle, 1v1 towards the bottom half of the map, and that's going to be Scavzy pressing that exchange. Cellz getting first blood onto Abolics. That rewards them the sniper off the initial. They get that last round into the half, and they're starting off good. This is the life that we wanted to see in the favor of Hive to extend the series. Bronny trying to chase down Thing 2. He gets that elimination. Scavzy in a 1v2 exchange. He puts some good damage, but he's going to fall. So they're staying alive onto the home hill. 2-1 hill advantage from Hive goes to an end, as that's going to be Rocky getting some help with Bronny. And that, I find myself saying that so much, Rocky being the tipping spear, and I feel like teams might take note of that and they can take advantage of Rocky and the moves. Like I said on checkout, he might not be the player doing the most damage at all times, but he's being the player that picks up those eliminations, that picks up those big moments for his squad. That's going to be a big damage from Cellz, though, stopping it from coming out. Another shot connected onto Bronny as they slowly insert themselves on over towards this overlook and reward themselves a little bit, but they do need to get this decap onto the neutral. They have one player staying toward the top side. Cellz spots out that flank at the last moment. Big shot's going to be fired, but it's not going to get there in time. Yachty goes down. They need to win this exchange onto the neutral. They do have a 3v2 advantage. They get that elimination onto Rocky, and they get in the hill just in the nick of time, but they need to stop surviving. They need to figure out a way of thriving in this situation. As they get the eliminations, Bronny returns to the scene of the crime to retake the hill and secure that triple cap domination right back in favor of Oxygen, which is huge for momentum shift. Not only to shift the momentum back on over into the half, but to shut down the little bit of momentum that Hive was able to build. Just laughing to myself right now as Hive just has that John Cena attitude I always talk about, that never give up attitude. And when you're lava in this situation, when you've been playing the game for as long as you have, multiple championships under your belt, whether the things were the brightest or things were the roughest, never giving up. You got retros and now bolt talks towards the bottom. You got snipers still in towards the middle. That 1-2-1 does look like a prominent strategy for both of these teams, but it does look like Hive is going to put a heavy focus on toward that sniper. Lava catches Scavzy slipping. That's going to get the first down and the first blood on over to Hive. This is absolutely big. They need this in order to shift this momentum after that blunder of the last round. Cellz doing a good job here, staying alive with that sniper, and I'm joined with something incredible here. You saw him yesterday making his appearance again today. Reflections. I need a moment to breathe, but I got to go ahead and ask you, for somebody looking on the sidelines, being able to take notes, break it down kind of by yourself, what you've been seeing from Hive.
Man, Hive is, I got to say, I expected a lot more from them. I really did. The fact that they're losing this series 2-0 versus Oxygen, let's not kid ourselves, though. Oxygen is an incredible team, but these guys have history, okay, from the LCQ, from the Pro League qualifiers, so it's not a new matchup by any means, Jacob, but hey, Oxygen clearly came to play today, and I know Colin definitely believes in these Hive boys. He ended up voting for them. In fact, Chad ended up going for them, but Oxygen just seems like the better team today. But hey, Hive could be able to turn the series around. We know, Jacob, when it comes to Escalation, this is the middle of the road when it comes to the series. So maybe at least hopefully it's a turning point for Hive.
They need something here onto their side. Yachty was able to get a down, but it ended at that. Rocky saving the day yet again. I said it when I was by myself. Rocky all series long has just been a huge defining factor for the success of Oxygen. Being that first player in, not only getting the eliminations on his own, but cleaning up any big downs. And that's something huge because you can put all the Lancer damage as you want reflections, but if nobody's cleaning up that elimination, it's all for show. It's all for nothing.
Yeah, you got to get those cleanups you really do. And capitalizing off those moments. Either way, for Oxygen, they're looking solid. They've got a tremendous lead, and Hive is trying to get the ball rolling, but is it a bit too late? Well, Scavzy shutting down 2 members from Hive and even giving a little emote just really to boot. Domination coming through, but even if it didn't, Jacob, it wouldn't really matter, would it? Oxygen, they're going to take a 4-2 lead and be at map point, series point, just like that, even though Hive keeps it around. And Scavzy, flex all you want, brother. You just put on a show.
Yeah, it goes to really kind of present itself here in the series today that we've been talking about it through the qualification process. I know you guys talked about it yesterday. Colin kind of hit the nail on the head again today. Once we went from 12 teams to 10,
right,
that just, it goes without saying that the competition is just going to get even more stiff. So I kind of made the comment of Hive. They're playing a shell. I think they're playing at maybe 70%, maybe 60% of what I know they can perform. And if you're playing at 60%, if you're playing at not your best, a team like Oxygen, a team with full-on aggression, they're going to take advantage, right, and they're going to make you look like amateur.
Yeah, and you really have to come into every single series ready to play. With there only being 10 spots, we talked about, well, you guys talked about at the beginning of the show. I discussed it yesterday with Colin. Look, you know, that relegation is going to come quick. And if you're the bottom 2 teams, it's going to put even more pressure on you, and you're representing an organization. At this point, when you're representing Hive, my Lord, that is a big organization to represent in terms of the history, right? When it comes to Gears, specifically in Gears 5. So I expect a lot from these guys, especially with the names on them, but this might be a turning point. Cellz finds a way to get his hands onto the sniper, even though Oxygen has the objective currently. I'm looking at Cellz to pull off and go big. We do see Lava taking down Cellz. That's going to be awesome. So at this point, you got to close that gap. Hive knocking at the door to go through the choke point. Here they are. They're going for it. But Rocky shutting the door in their face on the Yachty.
Yeah, I think both Cellz and Lava, we kind of talked about it. Lava being one of the key players as well. The 1-2 punch combo. And that's the thing. They know they can perform a lot better, but right now Cellz just not connecting just yet. But did connect onto that one against Rocky. Nice body shot onto one. Cleans that one with a nice up A. Goes for back-to-back. Abolics, though, is going to shut him down. Knew Bronny was onto the flank, so he was just trying to make something of his life before he was taken down. Yachty revive back into the action. I'm just being stuffed short after all that action. That was a big effort from Cellz, but you see an additional player from both of the teams making that rotation over. One of those players is going to be Rocky. He has those incendiary grenades. Yachty goes down. Abolics gets lancered out, trying to retreat. Thing 2 gets taken out as well, and honestly might have a player lagging out, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to change much in the series.
I mean, come on. It's 167 and counting to 94. Domination starting to tick through. Jacob, I think this is just about over with. There it is. Oxygen are, in fact, going to win this series over Hive in a dominant fashion. 3-0. And I gotta say, Oxygen is looking scary, Jacob. I can't wait to see how well they're gonna do, because Oxygen, they made those big changes. They added in Scavzy, they added in Bronny, and I gotta say, those boys are tearing it up. A good job over to Rocky, right? 12 kills, 10 assists. He had a ton of damage backing him up. So no surprise, Oxygen wins this. But for Hive, like I said, we gotta see more. Chat can agree with that, and so can Colin.
Yeah, I think Rocky on this Oxygen squad is so good. He brings a lot of leadership mixed with a little bit of experience coming in from Abolics. Once those 2 guys can kind of sort things out, you bring in Bronny, who I talked about that short stint on that Vanquish roster, how dominant he is. He might have bought that blueprint with him. He said, hey, guys, I have the plan. I know exactly what Vanquish does.
Right.
Here it is, boys.
Yeah, I mean, Bronny, again, dominant Slayer. You know, that 3rd place for Vanquish was incredible, given the fact that he had to fill in pretty short notice, okay? And you're joining Vanquish, who even then was still a very dominant roster, a very dominant team. I think they were coming off a championship, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know what? I mean, big shoes to fill, but Bronny's used to that. But again, for Oxygen to get that victory, it speaks volumes about them. They still got a lot of work to do, without question. But I liked what I saw from them. You cast... Hive, what are they lacking?
Honestly, it just seemed like they lacked an overall true game plan. They seem like they lack somebody who's kind of the tip of the spear, which is surprising. Like, since you have, like I talked about, the championship experience from Lava, Cellz, who has shown that he has so much potential. Just he needs that right roster. He needs that right fit. They just looked a little lost. They looked discombobulated, not on the same page, not on the same book, not in the same library, so I can't even check them out.
He's not even in the same library. You're brutal, Jacob, but you got to be honest. That's just the reality of it. So again, Hive, got to see more from them. Cellz, I mean, look, Cellz is and has been an X factor, you know, and Cellz, he does perform well to his credit. I know Yachty has had his moment in the spotlight. Lava, clearly, you guys know about him. Fang, too, I expect a lot from him. And, you know, it's not all on him, but either way, again, when you're representing Hive, you got to do a little bit more because their performance during the LCQ and Pro League qualifiers was pretty good. It really was. But hey, I'm sure we'll see a lot more from Hive. But that 3-0 should be awake. I mean, come on, 300-58, 6-2 on checkout, 5-2 on training grounds. It's kind of unacceptable at this point. So Hive, I'm looking at you. I want to see more. I believe in you guys. So we just got to get to that point of success.